Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live from our comfy couch here on the outskirts of the internet. This is the Gaming Saloon Reviews for May 18th, 2020, with your host, Beastbreaker2448, and a Rampant Epsilon.
Hello.
We are out of Ghost territory. As I realized, it still says Ghost at the top of the notes. Oops. I forgot to change that part.
Because yes, we're restarting Ghost.
Oh god, no. I'm tapping out now. Goodbye. But no, we are starting the original series. From the beginning, all the way through all 98 episodes of it. Oh boy.
Yeah.
So prepare to be, for us to watch the series for like 25 weeks, is how long it's going to take. But yeah, we're talking about a little bit on pre-show, but how do you feel starting your first taste of Showa era material?
I mean, after seeing the episodes, I kind of feel good.
That's good.
I was kind of not really doubting it, but I was kind of more just at the this could go one of two ways, and I really hope it's not the second. I feel like overall my biggest hurdle's probably just going to be I am used to modern writer. This is not.
This is extremely not that.
And it's one of those, I've got to get past that point first.
Yeah. Like, we didn't even get a proper writer kick until the last episode of this batch. We got a writer, I know it's called Scissors, but I refuse to call it Scissors because technically it's a Hurricanrana. And I am calling it the writer Hurricanrana. You cannot change my mind. But yeah, it's technically my first taste of Showa era with a series, because I remember I've watched the Kamen Rider Zeno movie, which is one of the last pieces of Showa era material, and I was, I think, bored by it. So, not the best first impression of the era, but it was this kind of weird artsy movie.
I guess I could understand that kind of just being on the meh scale.
Yeah. I've wanted to watch Showa era shows, but I've wanted to watch them in order because there is continuity going forward. Because you know how we built up to Megamax over the course of like all of the movies for 00s and 4s, kind of.
Yeah.
What if that, but the shows itself? Because we were more or less going to be getting all of the writers returning for like the back quarter or stronger, I believe. Because the Showa era is one of those, oh, by the way, this main writer we're going to be talking about here, he wrote like the main parts of like the next 5 shows. Because it's practically the same crew.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Anything else?
No?
Alright, rolling into the show itself. Debuting April 3rd, 1971. We are very close to an anniversary year for that one. Oh boy.
Oh goodness.
I believe next year. I think next year is the anniversary. Yeah, it's the big 50 next year.
Oh boy.
I can't wait for the Showa era to be terribly recognized again. Because I'll be honest, after watching these 4 episodes, and actually the next 3, because I've seen the first 7, but I haven't moved past that since all this debuted. Wow, Shocker is horribly utilized in the current day and age.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, don't we just make all this look cheesy and corny when they play all this straight?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it kind of, now after just seeing the first little bit of it, makes me realize that every modern iteration of Ichigo, for the most part, does a piss poor job.
Yeah, more or less.
And it's
Also,
like,
give me 1 second. I need to step away. Alright, I'm back. I had to make sure my dog wasn't chewing on anything he wasn't supposed to be chewing on. I heard him chewing on something, and I had to make sure it was one of his sticks and not something else. Because when I got up, he took off. Like, oh no, I'm in trouble. Run away. But no, he just ran off with his stick.
Ah.
But yeah, and it's really bad when it's more or less the same writer. He keeps doing the Showa era dirty every time.
Yeah.
Every time. But anywho, also of note is, for the first time ever, we are watching this through legal means. instead of fan subs, this is official subs that you can check out on Shout Factory's website and any place that carries Shout Factory's material like Pluto, Tubi, all of those different sites and stuff. And if you do !writer in chat, regardless of case sensitivity, you'll be linked to the Shout Factory page. So you can watch along with us every week. But anywho, just as a quick note, our main writer is Masaru Igami, who is the main writer for practically the next few shows of the show era, and actually wrote a majority of episodes for once. And I think Shitaro Ishinomori himself wrote some episodes. I might make a note when he does write an episode. And our director is Koichi Takamoto, who is also, I believe, the main director of the series. It was a little tough to get main writer-director credits on this, since they're kind of buried, but he's listed as the main director, so I guess he's the one who's the fan of the rewind button. But anywho, we're going to kick things off with episode 1, The Mysterious Spider-Man, or The Eerie Spider-Man, because the episode is listed as The Mysterious Spider-Man, but when you're watching the episode, it says The Eerie Spider-Man.
Yeah, you noticed that too.
Yeah, I just ignored it, because I'm just like, oh, that's weird. Oh, well. Shout Factory tends to goof on their subs sometimes, so... Oops. Oh, well. But kick off. We see Takeshi Hongo himself doing a lap around this mountain road, I guess. I don't know what lap he's doing, if he's on this actual mountain road somewhere. But he's doing a lap in preparation for some big rally race in the future. And Tobei Tachibana, his coach slash mentor slash practically his father figure, because we'll, I guess, get that at some point, because we don't really get in the Hongo's backstory really right now. He's just some guy who drives motorcycles and apparently is really smart. But he comes in and he's a little slow, but he's going to do one more lap and try to knock 10 seconds off. And at this point, we also find out, yeah, he studies at Joku University in biochemistry and has an IQ of 600, which IQ tests are bullshit. IQ tests are not an actual judge of intelligence. They never were. So, oh well. But as Hongo does his lap, not that Spider-Man, because all the monsters are just Animal Man, or as we get in the next match, Animal Woman, sends the Shocker Motorcycle Club after Hongo to harass him. They try to corner him on a road, but he ends up evading them. And when I was watching this part, I was like, wait a minute, is this an all-female motorcycle club? Because I think it's all girls riding the motorcycles. Because it looked like they were all wearing the female Shocker uniform.
Maybe?
I don't know if that's the case or not, but I'm like, that's oddly progressive for something from 1970.
And more progressive than the series does going forward.
Very true. Anywho, Hongo evades them by jumping over them and then driving off the road so they don't see where he went. As they leave, Hongo tells them, but they end up giving him the slip in the fog, and then Hongo runs into a spider web, and he is captured. Hongo then proceeds to get knocked out for a whole week, which is one of those, maybe someone should have noticed you were gone for like a week.
Maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
Probably.
But during this week, he has been turned into Shocker's latest cyborg. I believe, technically, before he was dubbed Kamen Rider, he's technically Hopper Man? At least I believe that's the assumption from like later media of this is what Hongo's name would be if he was not Kamen Rider. But he refuses to join. Unfortunately for him, that's what the brainwashing's for. So Shocker attempts to brainwash him, only for them to suffer a technical malfunction that causes everybody to leave the room, giving Hongo the chance to break out with the assistance of Dr. Midorikawa. And I love how they jump through the ceiling that looks like it's covered in bubble wrap.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually bubble wrap, but it looks like bubble wrap, and I can't stop seeing it as bubble wrap. But they make their escape, and as they are traveling on the road, they are eventually cut off by Spider-Man, or not that Spider-Man, who sends Hongo down the cliff. Midori is captured and almost executed, but Hongo appears on the nearby cliffside, above them, like way above them, fully transformed into the Kamen Rider, because there is only one rider right now, for now. He dukes it out with the goons for a little bit before grabbing Midori and running away, because that's probably the smartest option he has at the moment. Meanwhile, we head over to the university, where Midori's daughter Ruriko meets up with her friend Hiromi. She feels like she's being watched, and then we find out that, yes, she is being watched because Shocker plans to capture them to get Hongo back, or to lure him back. But that fails because Tachibana just drove up in his car, and I guess that spooked them. Like, wouldn't he had to have driven through 3 people?
Yeah. But we don't ask questions with Ryder, remember?
True. I'm just like, Tachibana drives up, and then all of a sudden the people surrounding them just go whoop. I'm like, where did you go? Why are you afraid of this one car with this one person in it that you proceed to kick the ass of later? Anyway, Tachibana driving up, picks up the girls and takes them to the local bar that he runs, I assume? I believe he runs it. It's weird because we never get into specifics. We're just kind of shown things and kind of expected to just figure it out. But he ends up dropping off himself and presumably Ruriko, as presumably Hiromi takes the car, except it's the other way around on the girls. Because the two of them are distracting Shocker, who just come in there, beat up Tachibana, realize they have the wrong girl, and I guess just walk away. Because it's like, oh no, it's the wrong people. I guess we're not going to bother with anything now. Bye.
Yeah.
We see that Ruriko's off to the docks. I need to make the notes a little bigger for myself. Off to the docks to where her father is with Hongo. Except Shocker then finds out because they put a literal spider like bug on the car so they could follow it. Which is probably
they used a spider tracer.
More or less. So it's just like Shocker,
sure this isn't that Spider-Man?
I would say so, but then again, Toei did do a Spider-Man series, so and I believe it happened before this. I have to look that up. Oh no, that happened later. That's 1978. Never mind. But yeah, Shocker being extremely competent. I'm not used to Shocker being competent.
Yeah. I mean, but that's for good reason.
Yeah. So at this point, we catch up in Midori and Hongo as Midori blames himself for all of Shocker's atrocities because he played a hand in it by being one of the doctors that would convert people into cyborgs, or had them be murdered in the process because they couldn't handle, being turned into half robot and then having electricity shoot through them to make sure that it works. But Hongo tries to cheer him up and tries to get him out of the bad place he's in. At this point, we switch over to Ruriko real quick to see that she's arriving, and then see Hongo break a faucet or break a handle on a faucet because he's not used to how strong he is, since he's kind of not whole human anymore. He's only half human. Which is another one of those things I'm not used to in this franchise. We don't get this ever. Like, for example, you get this in Kuga, but way late into the show. Way later in the show. But here, episode 1, I'm not really human anymore, am I? I'm half robot. We also find out that surgery is, kind of permanent. Can't really take the metal bits out because I assume we can't put the fleshy stuff back in anymore.
Probably not.
But at this point, not Spider-Man arrives and attacks Midori, killing him as Riko enters. And now Ruriko believes that Hongo killed her father. And also at this point, we get the wonderful special effect of people dissolving into bubbles and then they kind of being sucked into a crack. And all of this footage is played more or less in reverse of how it was filmed. And it's wonderful 1970s filming. Anywho, Ruriko runs off, but is summarily captured by not Spider-Man, mainly. Hongo gives chase, transforming, and we get more or less stock footage transformation for Hongo for the rest of the series, for the moment. Because he transforms, and his bike also transforms. And I go, wait, why does your bike transform? Did Shocker do up your bike too while they were at it?
Maybe.
But he gives chase. He corners not Spider-Man at the dam. Does a bit of fight with the goons and their devastating ring around the rosy technique of them just running around in a circle around. It looks so stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But eventually he dispatches the goons, faces down not Spider-Man. They tussle for a little bit. He gets a glancing rider kick, although it's not called a rider kick, so it doesn't count yet. And that takes down or stops the menace of the not Spider-Man. At this point, Hongo hands off Ruiko to Tachibana, who also has been knocked out this entire time, so she has no idea what the fuck happened. And I guess he takes her back to the bar while he rides off and begins his quest of stopping Shocker. Which brings us to episode 2, The Terrifying Batman. And for reference, yeah, this is where that thing about spiders and bats being the first enemies writers encounter, this is why it's the case, because the first 2 enemies Hongo ever ran into were a Spider-Man and a Batman. We start off at an apartment complex where a girl is attacked by not Batman as she is needed for Shocker's plans. And it takes like a good 3 minutes and a very horror style shot or horror style set of scenes of her being chased down, cornered, and infected by not Batman. Wow, that is also something I'm not used to. Legit horror. But after this, we cut to, I guess the race mentioned in the first episode? I'm not sure. They don't name the race, so I don't know if it's this race or a different race. But Hongo's in a race. And he gets the win. And as he's celebrating, the girl from the previous scene appears, gives him flowers, only to get close to him and attack him. Because she has been brainwashed to do Shocker's bidding. And all of this causes Hongo to go investigate the apartments. Where he unfortunately finds someone else infected. This girl who is trying to infect her husband, but Hongo arrives in time to stop it. Except not Batman is one step ahead of him because he's kind of infected most of the floor. And probably the entire apartment complex at this point. Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, seeing all of these innocent people involved, Hongo makes the smart move and hops out the window in order to transform because we established a limitation of his powers also in this batch of 4 episodes where he needs enough room to make the wind run through the belt to let him transform. Which is one of those, that's a thing. But heading outside to transform, he hops onto the rooftop and not Batman follows, and they proceed to brawl. And while we don't see the end of the fight, we see the results of it, of not Batman being subdued. So, okay, that happened kind of off screen. But cutting over to the bar, which I'm going to refer to as Amigo, because I believe its name is Sweet Amigo? I believe. I don't think we ever see the full sign, but from wiki information, it says it's this. So, okay, cool, it's this. We check in Ruriko, who wants answers about Hongo from Tachibana, who proceeds to play dumb because I guess they just don't want to tell her what happened. Because I guess she won't believe them?
That's kind of what I would take it as.
Yeah, granted, I'm just like, okay, do you know you were kidnapped by a spider monster the other day? But anyway, this whole thing leads around to Tachibana being called to the apartments by Hongo, and Ruriko more or less following them. And by the time we get there, or by the time Hongo gets to the apartments, he's made a stop off at the university to have a friend look at the virus, and it's where we get the whole, oh yeah, it infects people and causes them to more or less be brainwashed. And nope, we can't do an antidote because fucking we ain't got the equipment for this shit. We ain't got the budget for it. So at the apartments, Hongo and Tachibana discuss what to do. Hongo wants to take the bat to the lab to have him analyzed and looked at, which is a smart move, actually. Like, I'm surprised by how intelligent the show is, given previous reputations about the show here displayed to me. Like, this is a competent plan. So, Hongo goes to pull the car around while Tachibana is watching them. But with Ruriko following them, I actually skipped the scene where they lose Hongo at Amigo. But it's only for so long. Oops, my bad. But with Ruriko following them, she knocks out Tachibana with a face. Once more proving Tachibana is just going to be the jobber and just job out to everything. Poor guy. But after Ruriko knocks him out, she gets tricked by not Batman into freeing him by saying, "Oh, Hongo, it did kill your father. I have information. Free me and I will tell you." So he proceeds to infect her and hold her hostage as Hongo arrives. And Hongo's more or less offered deal to turn himself in exchange for her being freed. But he needs a guarantee on her being cured. So not Batman shows him, "Oh yeah, I can cure people by scratching them with my claw, because that's how that works, I guess." I'm not sure viruses work that way. But with that proof, Hongo's like, "Well, I know what I need to do now," and then proceeds to fight not Batman, because if all I need is your claw, I'm just going to rip it off of you and use it. So taking the battle to the roof once more, Hongo shows some of the goons that not Batman has the fast way down to the bottom floor, and then Batman as well after he's ripped off the claw. Tommy, you there? Hello?
I'm here.
Okay. So, with claw in hand, Hongo proceeds to cure everyone and leaves because the job is done, and Ruriko now knows the truth, so she's going to be working with the team now. And that's half our episode. So how'd you feel about the first half?
Honestly, kind of glad that we didn't, drag on a plot point.
Yeah, me too.
I almost feel like we got more accomplished in those 2 episodes than some shows managed to pull off.
And about,
yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that, actually.
and a good bit, yeah.
Because I feel like I started to say most of them take like a good 10 episodes to pull off, but then I got to thinking about Geo and I'm like, never mind. I'm just gonna shut my mouth there. I'm just gonna leave that in there.
Yeah, because we have establishment of villain, establishment of what they're capable of, our hero, what he can do, slight drama with the group is then formed. Like, we get a lot done in 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I am liking this show, which is dangerous because I know good Shoto figures of the original of Ichigo in all 3 of his outfits for the series. It's like, oh no. And bikes. But anything else before we hit the latter half?
No.
Alright then, episode 3, Monster Scorpion Man. So Shocker has completed their latest creation, and he gets to go on a test run by killing a group of prisoners that we gave the opportunity to win their freedom by crossing a desert. while also being hampered and probably malnourished for several weeks, probably. Oh. Welp. So, as you can imagine, this does not go well for the prisoners, as they all fall victim to the Scorpion's little toy scorpions that spit Kool-Aid at people that makes them melt. God, I love 70s sound special effects. But all but one of the prisoners dies. The last one is left alive so they can lure out Hongo, because that's just the plan. I love it's just like, oh, let's see, we tested him out. He works well. Let's let that one last old guy free and see if he brings in the guy we need to kill. Meanwhile, Hongo and Tachibana are getting a handle on what Hongo's capable of now with his new rider powers. And we even get to see him test out a proper rider kick, which will not be used in this episode. You have to wait a week on that one. They end up breaking down the footage they've taken, and they make the note of Hongo needing a good gust of wind to power up his cyborg parts, which actually gets to be a plot point next week for us in the next batch. At this point, Ruriko drops by with news of the bodies of the people from earlier being found, and Hongo goes off to investigate alone, because he's the only one who can probably dropkick his way out of a problem at the moment. No offense to Ruriko, who wants to help, but you're not a fighter, and you're probably not going to be able to punch your way out of a problem. Arriving at the location, he sees some hospital staff escorting the old man from earlier away, and he finds out, oh, they're Shocker Goons. I'm going to go after them. And he does. He proceeds to fight them off in normal Hongo fashion. Grabs the old man and runs, but not Scorpion, since we keep this trend of comic book villains I know the names of. Unfortunately, the next one not so much, but oh well. But Scorpion is happy because, oh look, the trap is set. At a hotel, Hongo's talking with the old man to try to get some info. As Scorpion makes his way there, they end up having someone attempt to break into the room. And we find out it's not Scorpion. It is a racing buddy of Hongo. And then Ruriko drops by just after him, and I have to wonder, did you not see him on the way there? Anyway, the two of them are there to help. Ruriko is, the other guy, not so much, as you could probably surmise. Because as they're talking things out, a bunch of the little Scorpion guys show up, and Hongo and his racing buddy have to stomp them out. And they head out into the hallway because, oh, the monster's here, we need to go fight it. Except this is all one big distraction, because Hongo is waylaid by some of the female Shocker Goons who try to throw ninja stars at him, and some other goons that fight him. I'm also amazed at how much Hongo fights out of suit, as well as in suit. Uh-oh. Anywho, lost my train of thought. But while Hongo's dealing with them, and the other guy is totally dealing with stuff on his end, the old man is attacked by one of the little Scorpion guys and is killed. And Ruriko is also taken because I guess we don't want to kill her just yet. Once Hongo makes it back to the room, he sees that she's taken, and his racing buddy tells him, "Oh, they're in that car that way." And the two of them give chase and tail them to this little shocker base, where after they break in, they try to rescue Ruriko, and then they find out, oh no, the racing buddy is in fact Mr. Scorpion. They are almost thrown into the Scorpion pit, but they escape, leaving Hongo to fight off all of the goons who dig into the ground to hide, only for Hongo to just knee them in the back and kill them. So Hongo gets to 1v1 Scorpion, and he finishes him off with the Rider Hurricanrana. And that's pretty much the episode. It's weird how short the episode feels.
Even though it kind of wasn't.
No. Yeah, the Hongo and Ruriko just ride off after the end of the episode because oh look, they survived. Which leads us to our last episode of the batch, episode 4, Man-Eating Sariacean? Man-Eating Plant. It's a man-eating plant.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that name all episode, or the entire recap. But we open up in an amusement park where the girls are enjoying themselves. And we check in with a young boy and his sister, who are checking out some big man-eating plant. And with the man-eating plant turns out to be a shocker monster that kidnaps the girl, leaving the boy to run away, run into the girls, who take him to Amigo because they think this is a shocker plant. Shocker plot. It's a shocker plant too, but a shocker plot. Hongo is immediately suspicious because I don't blame him at this point. But they head to the boys' home, find that the sister's not there, so Hongo is off to investigate. He unfortunately doesn't have the finest control of his powers because he accidentally crushes the kid's hands when he tries to console him. But I guess the kid's not really fazed by that because he just gives him a model plane later as payment for investigating this, I guess. I don't know what the plane was for.
That's kind of what I think too.
Yeah. Anywho, Hongo heads off to the park, looks around the greenhouse, only to be attacked by shocker goons, who try to throw a knife at him, but he blocks it with the plane. So that's the plane done for the episode. He gives chase, only for them to pull a smokescreen on him, which feels so appropriate for this. Like, oh yeah, they do pull a smokescreen on him. Of course they do. It's a smokescreen of Nerf gas too. I'm just like, you could have just done a regular. Why does it have to be Nerf gas?
Because everything's better with Nerf gas.
Apparently. Although it doesn't slow down Hongo that much after because he transforms, gets after them, causes them crash, and proceeds to take one of the goons hostage so he can get answers. We check in with the sister as she's captured, and she is currently on the docket for alterations today, and her appointment is high noon, giving Hongo only so much time to save her. But after they found out that one of the goons has been kidnapped by Hongo, our plant monster is deployed to go clean up that loose end real quick. Hongo ends up taking the goon back to the boy and the sister's place, which I'm not sure that's the smartest idea, but okay, sure, Hongo, whatever. They hold him captive, and Hongo punches him awake. He just punches him in the back, and he's just awake now. I'm like, I'm not sure that's how that works, but okay. And he gets some answers out of him on where his base is. Hongo heads out and manages to make it in time to cause a red alert to put a stop to the surgery. He fights his way in through all the goons and saves his sister, but now that the plant monster's not there, he has to turn right back around and head back there to this apartment because the plant monster's there to kill the goon. It does kill the goon and almost kills Ruriko, I believe. But Hongo arrives in time to fight it off after dispatching more goons that it had, and then dumps our good weed friend in the dumpster with a proper rider kick. After this, Hongo rides off, and then immediately 2 seconds later, when we turn around, there's Hongo with the sister. Hongo, where did you go? Did you just drive around the corner, stop, grab her, and run up and hope nobody noticed? Anyway, with the sister, they reunite the family, and the next day, the kid is like, "Oh, Hongo, aren't you Mr. Ryder?" And he's like, "No, I'm not." Even though I totally did the same thing did the little head pat in Yimbo forms. And also, wouldn't your sister know if I am? Oh well. Anyway, day is saved, and that's kind of the end of the episode. So, how'd you feel about this second half?
I really was kind of having the problem on the last episode there with the kid just really phoning it in.
Yeah, kids not the best. What's worse is we're going to be dealing with kids a lot later in the series, I believe.
I don't doubt that one bit.
Yep.
And otherwise, though, I kind of like it. There is that little bit of, it's like, eh. And I find it funny that truthfully both episodes actually could get summed up a lot quicker than they did.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the theme of this series, is that I could probably just hit the 5 major points of this episode, and that's kind of all you need to know, because that's just kind of all that happens.
Yeah.
Because I think a good 3 to 5 minutes of the episode is just Hongo going from the apartment to the base, and the tension of the scene of Hongo, if he's going to make it there or not.
That combined with the fight scenes.
Yeah, the fight scenes, for not having the most elaborate choreography, do take a while.
And that makes me wonder if that gets better as the show progresses.
Maybe, I've had this feeling when I was watching the first 7 that this show feels very experimental in a lot of ways. We have no idea what we're doing, so we're just going to keep doing things, and if it works, we keep it. If it doesn't, we drop it.
Yeah, it's almost like they're just slinging ideas against a wall and seeing what sticks and what falls off.
Yeah, because, Toku's been done before. There's Toku that predates Rider, but this is the first time something like this is being done with Shotaro Ishimori's works, I believe. So it's just let's just see what works, what happens. Who knows? But yeah, I enjoyed the 4 episodes. I'm looking forward to this series.
I am too.
But anything else?
Honestly, no. I can't think of nothing.
All right, then next week we'll keep the train rolling with another 4 episodes, including one episode that I'm blind to, because once we're past episode 7, I'm blind to what we're really dealing with. I only know some real general stuff about the original series, and that is super few and far between. But anywho, if you like what you're watching, drop a follow. We really appreciate it. We're chipping away at that average viewer follow go, so get your friends in here and hang out. I guess I don't have something for that Bowl. So, meh. At TG Saloon on Twitter. We'll get you updates on when we go live. And exclamation point Discord and chat. Get you the Discord link. Drop by, say hi. We got a Dropbox for questions. We could probably use a few. So put them in there. We'll answer them. But that'll do it for me, for Tommy. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.